Welcome to your Getting Started video. Your login details are admin with no password. Once you have logged in, you will see your list of forecasts on the left. On the right hand side, you will find a list of functions. This includes new forecast, new consolidation, rename forecast, copy forecast. Copy forecast no values creates a copy of the forecast with no values to use as a template. Delete forecast, refresh all hot links, log out of forecast 5, update current user, close user session, change forecast group. Export forecast, import forecast, export forecast data. You also have a user maintenance tab, which is part of the admin pack with a list of forecasts, list of users, list of groups. For this exercise, we will click new forecast and select New Zealand as our country. From here, we will fill out the company name, select the start date. We will not select an integration at this point, and we click OK to start. Once the forecast has been created, you will find the following. Along the top, you will have your ribbon, which includes add records, add sections, move data, consolidations, settings, openings, actuals, and what if. You'll also find your Home tab, your Reports tab, Daily Cash Flow, Visuals, Utilities, and the Help menu. On the left-hand side, you will find your forecast system tree, which holds your sections, your folders, your records. We are going to name our forecast 5, and then we are going to add a sales section. You can do this by clicking on the sales section and seeing the Add Record button is now available, or we can right-click Add Record. We're going to rename this record to Base Package, and we can see from the drop-down the record types available, but for now we're going to leave them as Income. From here, you'll see the various methods of data entry that we have, including as % of sales, manually entered, or hot links, but we will just leave it as manually entered for now, and I will enter 150,000 in the set all box. And we will determine we get our payments 31 days after that month. You will see the cash flow inclusive of GST has been distributed and presented. Next, we will add another record called Advanced Package, leaving it as an income, but we will use calculate from units. We will enter the price as 2,200 in the settle box and the sales units at 50 units per month. You'll see that it's calculated through. On each record, in addition to the record type, you can also select the currency and the GST rate. If it is a separately invoiced record, you can also select the bank account. Now to the cost records. Let's right click and add a record and call it sales cost. We will see that there's a bunch of record types, including accrued prepaid, stock, wages, gross wages, but we will leave it as a cost. You will see a bunch of methods to choose from, including manually entered, profile, calculate from units, and as % of. For this purpose, we will choose as % of sales, select the base package and the advanced package, and enter a percentage amount of 50. You will see that calculate through. Now into our overhead section, we can add another record. This one will be advertising, and it will be an accrued prepaid record. We will then set it up as an as % of sales and do a 10% on the sales records. The invoices will be received every quarter and pay those every quarter, and we will leave the day's credit as is. We will now add another overheads record. This will be called consultants, and it will be a wages record. We will then select from the method employees group, and we will select employees entry. From there, we will rename the first group to consultants. We will have one employee who works 40 hours a week at a rate of $30 an hour. We will give them a 3% KiwiSaver, and in the bonuses, we will give them 5% of sales. Then you will click OK. You'll see that populate through, and click OK again to see that on the record. We will now add a stock record to calculate our stock. So we will name the stock, and we will select stock from the drop-down. You'll also notice we have stock made and stock on hand records. From our method, we will choose as % of sales, but there's also sales units, to from records, and others. We will select our two sales records and enter 10%. As you can see, we can handle many variations in different styles to make the budgeting complete. Next, we have our main bank account. This is a built-in bank account to each forecast. You can add as many forecasts as you need, and they can be in foreign currency as well. So for credit interest, we will enter 2%, and for overdraft interest, we will enter 7.5%. We will enter the opening balances later on. To create a new bank account, simply add a new record, rename it to AUD Bank, select AUD from the currency, and you will have an Australian dollar bank account. You can also use the Is Journal option to make movements between accounts without impacting the cash flow. Now onto the balance sheet, we can add a fixed asset record by right-clicking Add Record, and we will rename this to Plant. We will model purchases and say add $15,000 to a fixed asset in April, and we can have a straight line depreciation at 20%. We can calculate loan records by adding a loan record. We will leave it as a calculated loan taken, and we will add 48 months as the term with a loan balance of $20,000 with an interest rate of 6.5%. As you can see, we immediately calculate the interest due, the capital payments, and total repayments. We have a range of other records that can be used, such as capital accounts, other assets, and liabilities. We also include memo records, which allow you to store non-financial information which you can budget from. For this example, we will add a record for KPI and set it to 100. We'll add another record and call this Sales KPI, and we will set this as a formula. We will create a formula to times the sales by KPI and see the calculations that come through. We'll also add another record, which we can hotlink to another forecast. You'll see from this list there's a lot of options that you have when using a memo record. We'll select hotlink and select hotlink again. We will click to add and we'll select forecast from the list. From here you will be able to select your forecast from the drop down menu, and you see your memo records from another forecast will be populated. You'll select formula and click OK, and you'll see that it will come through. We also have an assumption section which you can add records under, and you can enter anything you want to make up an assumption. For example, assuming sales will increase by 10%. You can have as many assumptions as you need, and you can see them all in the assumptions report. Lastly, we have our forecast records. This includes GST, PAYE, and income tax, which are all calculated for you. For income tax, we will set up a 30% of profit, and the tax will be paid 3 times over a year. Next, we will enter the opening balances. Click Enter Opening Balances and Export to Clipboard, and you will need to paste this to your Excel spreadsheet. In the Excel spreadsheet, update your opening balance figures. Once you've entered your opening balance figures, copy the section to your clipboard and go back to Forecast 5 and click the Import from Clipboard button. You will see your figures have been imported. You will notice that you will not be in balance. When you click OK, you will be asked to auto balance. Click Yes. Now let's go to our reports. Whenever you see a calculating system records message, it is making sure all the calculations are correct. In our reports, you can see the type, which is budget or what if, and we'll click Show All to show our standard reports. In our profit and loss report, you can see the automatic calculation of bank interest, credit and debit. We can see our tax provision has been calculated and our accumulated profit. In our balance sheet, you can see our projected balance sheet, and you can see that it is in balance. In our cash flow report, you can see our cash position, that we can get our bank overdraft, then it is moving into funds, and we can see how our cash flow matches our funds flow report. We also have one-touch reporting. One-touch reporting allows you to drop any of the forecast reports into a predefined Excel template. This can hold your disclaimer, your contents page, or anything else you may want. Once you have selected your template and the reports that you want and click OK, this will run the one-touch reporting option. Click Yes to open the workbook, and you will see that your template has now got the reports added at the end. You can have as many templates as you need. Once you are happy with your budget, you can extend that forecast up to 15 years. For this scenario, we will extend 2 years and increase the sales by 5%. Click OK to make those changes and see the system message appear. You will then see that another tab has appeared, and if we go to the sales record, you will see that in the first year we've got our standard amount, and in the second year that is increased by 5%. We also handle what-if scenarios. This allows you to see and report on financial impacts. This can be done at a record, folder, or section level. For this scenario, we'll increase the sales section by 25%. When we go to the base package record and click Show What If, we can see both years have increased by 25%. If we then want to see an increase of the base package by 10% more on top of that 25, you can enter it here. By going to the Reports tab and selecting What If Budget under Type, you will see the changes reflected. We also have the option to save the What If as a budget and to save it as a new forecast or to reset to original. The final step will be to enter your actuals. To start actuals, click the Start Actuals button, and you'll need to click Enter Actuals. From here, you can either export to clipboard or you can enter your figures manually. I will change the base package to 160,000 and I will decrease the advanced package to 100,000. I will click on OK and we'll see those changes reflected on the record. If we go to reports, we can see the options for rolling budget or original budget under type for all these standard reports. We also have variance reports to show the changes. All these reports can be exported into one-touch reporting. We also have a unique feature called Daily Cash Flow, which gives you a rolling day-by-day bank position projection of your budget. This brings us to the end of your Getting Started video. Check out the Trial Hub for links to online training, the knowledge base, and more.